What's up, guys? These next few videos are all about why I think real estate is the absolute best place to put your money. I put these videos first because I want you to be totally stoked about real estate and feel like you just gotta get in the game. If you have that mindset from the very beginning, you'll be able to get a lot more out of the course. So get excited. There are a lot of great investments out there, but I genuinely believe that owning real estate gives the highest and most consistent returns. According to Andrew Carnegie, 90% of all millionaires have done so through real estate. I'm going to show you why. Real estate makes you money in 4 different ways. We're going to call these the 4 money makers of real estate. Now in this video, I'm going to break these money makers down as simply as possible. In the next video, we'll be looking at a real life example with the most recent investment property I purchased. The first money maker is called cash flow. Each month, your tenants pay you rent. That rent's going to be used to pay for all of your expenses, including your mortgage, maintenance requests, repairs, capital improvements, or anything else. Now, what's left over is called cash flow. For a property to be worth buying, I want to see that with only a few adjustments, I can realistically get at least a 10% cash on cash return on my investment. That means for every $10,000 that I put down, I want to see that I can get at least $1,000 per year in annual cash flow. A 10% return is pretty good as is, but the coolest part is that over time, inflation happens. With conventional lending, I can lock in a fixed mortgage rate for 30 years. So my largest expense stays the same, but my rents, they keep going up. So that means that my cash flow is going to be going up too. And this 10% cash flow is way better than a 10% increase in stocks or mutual funds because it's cash in your pocket that you can use for anything you'd like. If your stocks increase by 10%, that doesn't really do you any good unless you sell them. And then if you sell them, you're not making money off of them anymore. With cash flow, you get it every single month. Now, the second money maker is what's called appreciation. Appreciation means that the value of your property goes up over time. So let's pretend you bought a property for $100,000. A few years later, you might be able to sell that property for $150,000. That's called appreciation. The amount of appreciation you'll experience is dependent on the economy, but also on your market. Places that are growing rapidly experience an increased demand for housing. Now, it's hard for the supply to keep up with it, so that increased demand is going to drive the cost of housing up. Other cities are stagnant, or maybe even they're shrinking, and you may not experience the same amounts of appreciation. But even if appreciation only kept up with inflation, your property will be increasing in value by about 3% annually. But here's what's really cool, the power of leverage. Now let's go back to that $100,000 property you bought. Let's assume you put 10% down or $10,000 down. When your property appreciates by 3%, it's not just a 3% increase to your net worth. It's actually 10 times that, because a 3% increase on your $10,000 down payment would only increase your net worth by $300. That's obviously not that significant. But what actually happens is the whole property increases by 3%. And 3% of the $100,000 property is $3,000. Now you still have the same $90,000 mortgage, but because the property value increased by 3% or $3,000, your equity also increased by that same $3,000. So in this situation, your equity bumped up from $10,000, your down payment, up to $13,000. With most investments, if you had a 3% interest rate, it would take about 24 years to double your money. But with this scenario, it would only take a little over 3 years to double your equity. That would be like if you put $10,000 in the stock market and 3 years later, it's now worth $20,000. You would have picked a really great stock and timed the market perfectly. With real estate, that's just keeping up with inflation. Now, in all fairness, appreciation is a lot more like owning a stock because the increase in value doesn't really mean anything unless you sell it. And real estate is a lot harder to sell compared to stocks. Plus, there's very few reasons you'd want to sell when the returns are so good. But even without selling, it does increase your net worth, and it also increases your equity in the property, which you can leverage to get more real estate deals or just have the peace of mind in knowing that the value is there. The third money maker is loan pay down. Each month, your biggest expense that takes away from your cash flow is your mortgage. But every time you make a mortgage payment, A portion of that payment goes towards paying down your loan balance, and a decrease in your loan balance is an increase in your equity or your net worth. And the best part is that you're not even the one paying your mortgage. You're actually paying it with your tenants' money when they pay you rent. Now let's take this $100,000 property again, where you put 10% or $10,000 down. That means you've got a $90,000 loan on that property. Assuming you've got a 30-year mortgage, you'll be reducing your loan by an average of $3,000 per year. A $3,000 reduction in debt is a $3,000 increase in your equity, and an increase in equity is the same as an increase in your net worth. Now in reality, your mortgage is on an amortization schedule, which looks like this. So the first year you own the property, you're not actually getting $3,000 of debt pay down. You're really only getting about $1,700. But the last year of your mortgage, you'll be getting about $4,800 of debt pay down. So $3,000 is the average, but you wouldn't need to hold that property for all 30 years without refinancing for that to be the actual average. But even $1,700 is still a 17% return on your $10,000 investment. The fourth and final moneymaker doesn't actually make you money, but it does save you money. But just like Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. And that is absolutely true. You could offer to pay me $50 or save me $50, and the effect it's going to have on my net worth is the exact same. So when your rental properties save you from paying money in taxes, that's just as good as cash flow. Usually when you make money, you're required to pay taxes on that money. As we've just walked through all the different ways rental properties can make you money, I hope you can see that it starts adding up. The crazy part is that with all the tax write-offs you get as a property owner, you'll typically pay $0 or close to $0 on your rental income. So when you become a six-figure landlord and you're making $100,000 in cash flow each year, you would think you'd have to pay 20% tax or more on all the money that you're making from your rentals, just like you would if you were to get a $100,000 bonus from work. That would end up costing you $20,000 plus in taxes. But the reality is you'll be paying very little taxes on that income, or maybe even none. Yes, this is legal. I'll walk you through all the ins and outs of real estate taxes in the bonus section of this course. But saving tax dollars keeps those dollars in your pocket, which is just as good as cash flow. I hope you can see why real estate creates so many millionaires. I hope you feel inspired, and I hope you feel hungry to get into the real estate game now. Let me know if you have any questions on this, and I'll see you in the next video where I walk through the exact numbers in each of these 4 money makers on the most recent rental property I purchased.